Hello everyone, welcome to the 2021 Boney Music Invitational Celebration. Good to be with you here tonight. Terry Lee is my name. This is a joint effort tonight between the BC Pipers Association and Tartan Town, of which I'm a part. The BC Pipers Board met to discuss what to do in 2021 with relation to the Boney event, and they wanted to do something, and they polled the players, and the players did not want to do anything that was pre-recorded or sort of YouTube files and things like that, Zoom performances, and yet the BC Pipers Board wanted to keep the momentum going for this event, and so they kind of came to me as I was the MC at the 2020 event last year, and to see if I thought there was an idea there. And I kind of came back and I thought, yeah, there's something here, because we had done a series of interviews last summer in 2020, and this was quite popular and a lot of fun to do, and I thought we could kind of do something along those lines. So this is with that approach in mind. This is a review of 2020's performances and us talking to and interviewing the performers, the competitors, having a bit of a laugh, and seeing where it goes, basically. So you're likely watching this on our Facebook Live event. It will stay on Facebook, so you can come back to it later and pause and fast forward and this kind of thing. We're also going to put it on YouTube, so that link should be around somewhere. Maybe we can put it on the screen. And you can watch at your leisure. I think it's going to be a bit of a long go. I think it's going to be several hours here, lots of material, and so watch it at your leisure. If you can stick it through tonight, great, because the Facebook Live has the advantage that you can chat, you can make comments, you can talk to each other on it, and it's kind of fun. So let's see if we can get some dialogue going. 1 year ago to this day, I believe, we had the event at the Seaforth Armories. It was one of the best BC Pipers events I can remember in many years. Part of it was the venue. A lot of it was the crowd. The turnout there was fantastic. And big crowds, great location. The mood was right, good performances, and it was just an excellent evening. I hope that you can tell your friends about this for next year. I think really the players, the competitors wanted for it to be a live event and not to resume it until it was live. So we're surely hoping that 2022 will be a live event, and we can resume that hopefully at the Seaforth Armories and burst through the doors in terms of the attendance on that night. So let's see what we can do out there. Of course, this is for charity, and it's for charity again tonight. And the charity is the BC Cancer Foundation. That link will be up on your screen, and it will appear on your screen several times. It's pretty neat that this year, for the first time, there's a direct link between the Boney Music event and the BC Cancer Society. So once you go to that link, you're on a dedicated page to this event, and it's pretty slick, very outstanding, and well done by the BC Pipers and the BC Cancer Society. Throughout the show, there's going to be some special messages. I asked some friends to kind of chime in with some thoughts, reflections, things like that. So we have an interesting array of guests there, and we've dug up nice images throughout that will be showing good pictures to kind of keep everyone's interest and have a bit of fun with and all that. So let's have a great evening. We're also really fortunate to have a couple of medical professionals help us out by delivering messages tonight. The first one is a nurse practitioner who actually had Andrew in her care, and so it's really special that she was there last year, and she's with us tonight. And let's look at that video now.
Hi everybody, I'm Rosemary Cashman. I'm a nurse practitioner at BC Cancer, and I had the pleasure and the privilege of knowing Andrew Bonar as he went through his treatment. And it was just about a year ago that we were celebrating Andrew and listening to some great music at the Boney Music Festival, and I had a chance to meet some really amazing people. I'm sorry we can't do that this year, but I wanted you to know that we're so grateful to all of you, most particularly to Jeanette and Andrew's family and friends, but I know he has a huge circle of admirers, and he's left a really beautiful legacy and has touched so many people. You all have been a big help to our patients at BC Cancer, and so on behalf of Dr. Brian Thiessen and myself and all of our patients, we send our love and our thanks. Bianak Lieb.
So we were fortunate in the first couple of years to have Andrew Bonar at the event. And Boney was thrilled to hear that the BC Pipers were going to carry on with this event. And they have done so. And we want to bring in our good friend now, Neil Dickey from Alberta. If we can get Neil in.
Yeah, here I am.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome back.
That's very good. Your hair's as white as your wallpaper.
No, life, here we go, you know. So, Neil, let's make our listeners aware of sort of the format of what the Boney Invitational Contest is. And while it can vary a little bit year on year, it's generally a 20-minute open forum where the player does all the playing, talking, tuning, anything else within those 20 minutes. The stipulations can change a wee bit, as I say, but generally speaking, the ones that remain the same are there must be a ground of a pibroch in the 20 minutes, and there must be at least 2 original Boney tunes.
All arrangement.
Yes, or arrangement, true.
Yeah.
So Boney was big on arranging things into different formats, so he was very
Although this year, I don't think anybody did an arrangement. They all did original Andrew Bonar tunes.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're doing, we're reviving 2020 into the year 2021 to keep people still interested in bagpiping.
Is the goal. That is the goal. Now, can you give me any memory of Andrew in the band? You both played in SFU at the same time, or on stage at a big concert or something with Andrew?
I remember he joined the band so young. I was always proud that I was one of the youngest grade 1 players in the world. When I was like 14, I went to Red Hackle and then competed at 15. I think Andrew Bonar, I think he was in the band at around 14 years old. Is that right?
I remember distinctly. It was 14, and I always remembered that. It was so unusual at the time. And,
yeah.
And we were a very small band, very small pipe corps, and we really needed a young hotshot like Andrew. And it was 14.
And from day one, he was a pretty funny guy. You know, he had a very dry wit. But inside the circle, he hardly ever said anything. He just kind of stood there and did his job. And from day one, from 14 years old until his last day in the circle, I don't think he was ever very far off in his sound. He was like he came with his bagpipe ready to go. And I never saw you and Jack doing very much, you know, in the circle to adjust what was doing. Just a little word in the ear from time to time.
I think that's true. I think Boney was a pro, but he also was just a real true competitor. Boney loved to compete, whether it was pipe band or solos, and he just stood there and did his job, and it was great.
The other thing was in concerts you asked about. I remember a lot of concerts. Andrew, he never got overshadowed is the wrong word, but he would do solo bits for us in the concerts, but there would always be another thing like a trio that year that took, you know, everybody's, you know, attention, or the singing the pibroch, or Stuart Liddell doing his Carnegie Hall. But all through, Andrew Bonar was a constant source of new material and really innovative playing. Some of his solo performances, I'd urge people to go back through the band albums and listen to Boney's solo performances, because they really are outstanding.
Absolutely. You know, I often asked Andrew to do a wee solo in a concert, and he never hesitated. He loved that sort of thing. But I never ever would have thought to suggest he play a certain tune or it be a certain flavor, because I always knew that Andrew would think about things in a unique way, and the performance would be different. It would stand out for its uniqueness, and it was always great. It was just so different. So, that's a memory for me in terms of what he added to those concerts. And now we actually dug for some clips, and we don't have anything great, both in an audio way and a visual way. So, but what we did do is we went back for people that, don't know how good a player Andrew was or want to perhaps hear it again. We've got a little clip from the 2014 BC Pipers Knockout, which is the closest thing to the Boney Music Invitational event anyway. So let's have a listen to that clip now.
here in snowy Burlington, Ontario. First of all, let me wish all the performers the very best today. Boney truly would have loved the format of this event. It's the perfect way to keep his memory alive. Boney was the consummate player's player. As successful as he was on the competitive boards, above all, he just loved to play. I remember so well those post-contest kitchen piping forays into what most of us old-timers here would call the scary technical dark side, taking traditional tunes to new heights of technical and musical brilliance, and all the while delivering the music with his ever-present infectious smile. Those post-competition performances are legend. Several years ago, Boney had access to a complimentary flight from Vancouver to Toronto. He had some bagpipe refurbishments being done on his pipes down in the Niagara area. He used that opportunity to swing by the house, have a meal with us, and play some tunes. And man, did he play. And play. And play. That was Boney. He just loved to play. So to all the players today, always remember that to play well, you have to be like Boney and love to play. All the best.
In the early days of the SFU Pipe Band, we usually practiced in a building on Burnaby Mountain called the Physical Plant and Planning Building, and we would practice in the staff lunchroom. It was a great spot, really, because there was a coffee machine and some nice chairs, and we could get up there early, have a coffee, spread out music, warm our pipes up, and all that kind of thing. And the routine was that we would do that, and then Terry would have a time when the pipers would come and meet, and the drummers would carry on down the hall in their rooms, and then they would join us at whatever time was the time. Anyway, I remember one night clearly because Andrew Bonar was off in the corner playing these jigs and hornpipes, and he had blistering fingers. He could just go like crazy. And we were kind of waiting for him to be quiet and join the rest of the pipe corps. And he knew we were waiting too, but he was a bit of a practical joker. So he's playing away, and we couldn't get him to stop. So I remember yelling at him really loud so he could not avoid, "Boney, get over here!" And he actually stopped and listened. I said, "Boney, get over here." And I remember that so well because another really good young player, Darlene Maharia, was right beside me, and she burst into hysterics. Boney, that's a great name. Anyway, that's how Andrew Bonar got the name Boney. It was at band practice and when I was yelling at him to stop playing.
Okay, so we're ready for our first player of the evening. It's one of our elder statesmen in the BC Pipers. It's your
elder statesman. He's like 2 decades younger than you.
They have to be elder statesmen now. We have to find out who's older, Alan or Yuri. Yuri's gonna answer that question.
Yep.
So let's do it. Let's invite in Yuri Chisholm from Seattle, Washington. Hello.
Hey,
welcome, Yuri.
Neil, thank you. Great to be
So
here.
Terry just called you an elder statesman, which makes us decrepit and 1 foot from the grave. So let's start with that. Ask your question, Terry.
I need to know, Yuri, who is older? Is it months, weeks? What do we got, you or Alan Bevan?
I think I'm about 5 months older than Alan.
All right, I was correct. An elder statesman. Here we go, the father of BC piping.
I mean, it's, I mean, you go from being the kid to the young guy to the medium guy to, I guess, old guy. It goes pretty fast.
So your first exposure to Andrew Bonar then would have been as a kid player coming out of the States then, yeah?
Absolutely. So it was a really big deal as a young piper from Oregon to come up to the indoor. And I remember coming to the indoor, and it was one of my very first years that I think I won a couple trophies in novice. I won the most promising amateur piper, which was a really big deal for me. And I think it was maybe that year that Andrew won, you know, he won the open class or something like that. But I do remember seeing him on the big stage at the indoor as a young kid. And he was one of these, you know, icons of the professional class of the SFU pipe band that, you know, I wanted to be like Andrew, and definitely one of my heroes. And then it was you know, one of the great joys of my piping career to be able to compete with Andrew and to be able to play in the band with him. And we became great friends and, you know, shared, we stayed in the same house at Inverness, and, you know, a great friend and a great player.
Was he ever inclined to give, like, tips if you asked him things about, you know, I don't know, about playing as a professional or playing in the circle in the band? Or was he just, did he keep to himself and just like keep the friendship social?
Well, no, he would give advice, but not in that way. And I always look at guys like Andrew who would lead primarily by example, you know, always playing really well, always, you know, always showing up. He had a fantastic attendance record in terms of going around the games and doing the knockouts and just never giving up. And I really admired that. And I looked to that as an example for how to carry oneself as a piper. Not one of these guys who would show up once in a while when he felt like it, but he was always there. He was always going for that grand aggregate once that thing got in there. Just the consistency.
There's no doubt. You think Boney loved to play and Boney loved to compete.
He loved to play. He loved to compete. He was a great competitor to play against because he would play well, and he was always playing at a high standard, but a gracious competitor as well. A great guy to compete against. Never any weirdness, never anything about his competitive mindset for piping that would get in the way of being a friend. You know, always really supportive. Always the first guy to put the hand out when you got a prize. And when you're a young person coming up and playing against your heroes, and then you get that occasional prize where you actually get a first or place ahead of one of these guys, it's a huge, humongous deal for you personally. And then to have a guy like Andrew who comes right out with the handshake is, you know, that's a big moment.
Was that a factor in the tunes that you picked for this event in 2020 when you played? I know that, well, Terry's going to ask you about the Peter thing, but just generally in the light music stuff, was there an influence of Boney in that, or were you trying to evoke some of the flavors of the way he played?
Yeah, so, you know, I think, you know, this Boney event is a really special event because it's a competition, but it's more than that. It's honoring our friend, and it also has this charitable aspect to it. Also, I think of it as a performance as well. It's because there's an audience and there's the online streaming audience. I'm thinking it more of like a mini recital. So it's because we have a certain amount of time, it gives you, you know, the opportunity to choose different tunes. You know, one of my favorite tune that Andrew wrote is that Odosa Tony. And to me, like when I hear that tune, that is just like the quintessential Andrew Bonar because it's really musical and really different. And, you know, coming up as a young player, listening to the SFU CDs, you know, that was on there, one of Andrew's solos. And for younger players, before MP3s, before YouTube, before all this stuff, it was like getting those CDs. That was your lifeline to what was happening. The new CD that came out, the new World CD, you know, maybe getting some tape recordings from Pipeline in Scotland. There just wasn't the access that we have now. So to get one of those CDs and you would just listen to it over and over and you'd listen to those solos and you just would know every tune. And, you know, one of my favorite solos was Boney's solo with the Odosa Tony on it. I love that tune.
Great example. Odosa Tony was such a cool tune of rhythmic adventure and building in tempo and very exciting, very unique. And so glad that you played that. And, you know, people can look forward to hearing that again tonight. And tell us about Macintosh's Lament, or not Macintosh's, I Got a Kiss of the King's Hand. And, you know, your connection with that and, you know, Boney's connection with that. Is it true that you play that every time at Boney's event?
I have. I played it every year. And I cannot think about, I can't think of another Pibroch that is connected more strongly to one person than that tune. The first time I heard it played was by Boney. He always played it. That was like his tune. Mm-hmm. And you knew that if he got it picked, whether it was the Enumclaw Games or in the cairn at the indoor, you knew he was going to do a good job and he was going to be in the hunt with it. And he did do a really, really great job with it. I always think of him with that tune. And, you know, it's right up there in my top 3 of favorite tunes to play. Beautiful melody, lots of really interesting things that you can do. You never get bored playing it. And, you know, this Boney Invitational tune selection process, there's always that Pibroch element. And as long as I'm playing at the Boney, I'll be playing that tune. It's a meaningful moment. You know, there aren't, you know, when you're competing, you're not really trying to get into this like emotional state typically. You're thinking technical stuff, you're thinking like, presenting this performance that you've put months of preparation into to try to do the best job you can. The Boney Invitational is different because there is that connection to a person and to the audience, Andrew's family sitting there. So it's really a uniquely special competitive event for me. And actually the competition aspect is secondary to the performance aspect and that emotional connection that I feel every time I play. And so it's a cool and different kind of goosebumps feeling that you usually don't get when you're up there on the boards.
That's brilliant. And, it was a great crowd that night, right? And you must have got a nice sort of feedback from that. But you had I understand you were behind the very cool ending to the evening. I was, to my surprise, tell us what happened there, because it was pretty unique. It was a lot of camaraderie going on there. And can you explain that?
Yeah. So one of the cool things about this event is it's, sort of the top players from the previous year, the open class and the BC Pipers, and then we get invited to do this thing. And I've talked about the sort of that connection to the Andrew and the Bonar family, and also the special aspect of doing something good for the charity. The venue has a big impact on a competition. There's the competitions around the world. There's sort of the history and there's the prestige. Maybe there's some prize money. Having a great panel makes it better. Having great competitors you're playing against makes it feel great. But when you're in a historic venue, if it's at the Glenfinnan Games where you're on the shores of Loch Shiel and you can just feel the history coming out of the stones, or if you're on Eden Court Theatre, all these things they just add to the specialness of that moment. And the Boney has been great every year, but I thought last year moving to that venue was just fantastic. It just had this sense of history and of connection to Canada and to the military and to Scotland and to history. And I mean, the physical surroundings are just incredible. I mean, just the paneling and the trophies and the paraphernalia, and it's a really amazing event. Now, some of these competitions I've been to, like at London, they have this tradition where the pipers will all play out at the end of the night. And it's just a cool opportunity for all these soloists to play together. All right, let's get the pipes up, and we do a little bit of tuning. We don't worry too much about it. At the end of the night, it's sort of a fun release. And I've been at other few events where they do that, sort of all the pipers come out. So I talked to the guys and I thought, this would be, I think, a really fun way to sort of put a cap at the end of the night, all play together. It'll be fun. Let's pick some tunes. We'll maybe pick a tune or two that had a connection to Andrew, and a way to, again, make it a little different and special and more relaxed than your typical solo competition, which is it's a very solitary pursuit. Solo competition, which I've done for many years and love it, it's different than band because it's all it's all on you. You get all of the accolades if you do well, and you suffer the consequences if you don't do well. But the Boney is a different, feeling to me, and I think to everybody who's there. And I thought it was just sort of a really cool, fun way to do it. And of course, Alan, who's, sort of our top competitor in our region, I thought he should be pipe major, and he's pipe major of the band now. And I was real honored where he said, "No, you take it." So that was a really cool, really special moment.
So you came in. Let's introduce your set by telling us that you opened with some 3/4s, I think, right? What was the first couple of tunes you played, and then we'll play your clip.
Oh gosh, I don't remember off the top of my head. Sorry.
So that's going to be a prize for the person who sends in to Tartantown the names of the tunes that Yori played to open his set.
Fantastic.
Yori, some really great storytelling there. It brings a lot of truth to what the event's all about, and to hear it from you as a competitor and you, a senior player in the BC Pirates, is fantastic. And we thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this with us today. And we look forward to catching up for real in 2022. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Neil.
Cheers, Yori.
All right, all the best.
All right,
Okay,
let's listen to Yori Chisholm now.
Hi there, Ken Eller here in Ontario. And you know, when Terry contacted us about producing this video for the great event tonight, I jumped at the opportunity. And it gave me an opportunity as well to walk down memory lane all those years that I've known Boney. I first met him when he was a young lad and had just joined SFU. Friendships developed and they matured over the years. I knew him well when he played in Ontario. He played with the 78th, and you know, that's the band that I wanted to play with, but I got there 1 year late. Boney had already come home to SFU. And certainly, like everyone else, I've followed all his successes in the competitive arena over the last few years, like 2010, the silver medal at Inverness, and in 2011, the gold medal Peebrick event he won at Winter Storm. But you know, through all those successes, he remained a very humble person. He was quick-witted. He was at ease discussing any topic about piping or the events of the day in a certain contest. And he understood his friends and maintained those friendships over the years. And I mentioned witted. I often thought that through his humor, while I was smiling outwardly, he was smiling even more inwardly. And to Jeanette, Kate, and Cameron, I congratulate you on following up on this great legacy of a great husband and a great father. And to the BC Pipers Association, kudos to you as well for sustaining this great legacy. And to you, I offer this toast. To the Boney Invitational. Sláinte. Cheers.
Okay, we're going to invite our second player of the evening in here. It's Gordon Conn from Calgary, and courtesy of Greenock, Scotland at one time, but he came all the way from Calgary for this event, and we appreciate that. And let's invite Gordon Conn into this now.
Look, he's in his winter wonderland.
Nice. That was very authentic. Very Calgary, huh?
Yeah, Calgary
So,
winter.
Bob, you and I are in the same province. Let's tell everybody what the temperature is this morning.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I looked briefly last night. It was about 20 below. So
Minus 22.
A lack of a shower, perhaps.
If your pipes are ever too moist and you want to dry them up in a real bloody hurry, just step outside in minus 22 weather.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Gordon. It's good to have you here.
It must
Thanks.
be, Gordon, it must be good to come to the West Coast for getting a little moisture in the bagpipe, I suppose. And thanks for coming that night. And it was 1 year ago. And for doing this today with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cheers. And so what's the Boney event sort of, mean to you to participate in, or what do you take away from that evening in particular?
Yeah, I guess, Terry, I think I have a couple things. It's obviously a great way to respect Boney and kind of what he contributed to the particularly the West Coast. And from kind of a personal point of view, it's a great kind of motivator throughout the season. So, as you guys have probably already spoke about, season-long standings. So you need to be getting prizes throughout the year to get there. For me specifically, it's even maybe a little bit harder. I don't obviously play Pibroch at the time, so I'm probably one event less per contest than the rest of the guys. So I've been trying to get an invite for a couple of years, and I've kind of narrowly missed it a couple of times. So it was fantastic last year to be able to sneak in, because I snuck in at the end. But yeah, and then last year was just a phenomenal event. The organizing team and the venue that we had. Thanks again, obviously, to the Seaforth for having us. I think everybody would agree it was a brilliant night, and I think for us to be able to come out into a room that was actually full of people for once. Whereas, as most pro contests, you're lucky to maybe get half a dozen people in the audience unless your name's Jack Lee. So, yeah, it's just a great night all round.
Right.
So listen, the format we all know is being different. They're playing the 20 minutes and a little bit of tuning time and all that stuff. But also the judging is a number of anonymous judges that you're not aware who they are. I mean, it could be the barman or the Uber driver, or, you know, could have been Bruce Woodley's dad. Who knows, right? But knowing that going in, did that have any effect upon how you played and what you played?
No, I wouldn't really say so, Neil. I mean, I think it was, you know, the bottom line is that the expectation was that A, obviously you knew the judges were going to be in the audience, and B, there's a lot of, you know, my peers and people that you would want to, I mean, you want to put on a good performance anyway, you know, so I think it was just, you know, it definitely didn't affect kind of the tune selection necessarily, but, you know, the full, you know, you put those things together, and you know, you want to work hard, and you want to make sure that you go out there, and whether it's, you know, 20, 25 minutes, whatever you're playing for, that it's good.
Well, you did play. You're one of the other competitors all kind of mixed and matched in around the MSR format. You're the single competitor who played a straight out, I think it was 6 parts, 4 parts 6. Bowman Hamill, Maggie Cameron, and Pretty Marion. That is a pretty like strenuous set to be playing in the middle of you know, something like this. Is that intentional to go back to the traditional format of the MSR?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to balance it out with you know, kind of starting out with a set of, you know, 6/8s, and then have a, you know, obviously the pibrochs in there, but, you know, kind of balance out the jigs and the reels and all that type of stuff you'd expect to see in the, you know, the kind of 20-minute format, and have something a bit more traditional in there as well. But yeah, I took a wee bit of liberty with Lynn's time limit. I think she said we had, I can't remember if it was 25 minutes max, but I think when I was timing myself at home, unless the tuning went completely off track, I was at about 24 and a half minutes or something like that. So there wasn't too much
actually,
time to go there.
It was a 20-minute limit. You played for 19 minutes and 10 seconds. I tracked it all. And you tuned for 240, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So we actually got, what, 16 minutes and 30 seconds worth of full playing from you. And in that time, you managed to cram in a big MSR, very nice ground of a pibroch, some 6/8s, and a little snappy set at the end. So good job.
And Neil, that was the bagpipe just settling from Calgary, coming from to the West Coast. That takes a little bit of maneuvering, right?
Yeah.
But I did think it was super cool that you played a straight up MSR in there. Not everyone did that, and it's just always nice to hear little, you know, traditional playing and strong playing. So, and I find it interesting for a not pibroch enthusiast at this point, or maybe not a strong suit for you. You're coming into it now, but that you chose his father's lament, kind of a monster tune. Good thing you didn't play the whole thing. It takes about a full 20 minutes. And but interesting choice. Do you enjoy that tune? It's a great tune for me.
Yeah, kind of a significant tune for me. I was kind of racking my brains. Obviously, it's been a few years since I played pibroch, and I could have kind of pulled something back out of the hat that I played in competition. But I was kind of thinking through it before the contest, and I actually learned at least the ground, probably more than the ground, of that tune from Boney. So obviously, you know, in starting from about, I don't know when, I think the first time I went to Pipe and Not Summer Drummer, I was probably about 10 or 11, but, you know, went there consecutively for, you know, 10, 12 years on the trot, and obviously Boney, a huge part of that school as well. And I ended up learning that tune from Boney while I was up there. So yeah, I was kind of looking through tunes, and then that one, you know, kind of popped up, and I thought, what a great choice. And obviously the grounds, as far as I'm concerned, is fantastic. Just a very melodic ground. So
you did a bloody good job with it. I really liked it.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Any other recollections from the evening? Or, I mean, it's just great to have you coming out, you know, to Vancouver on a regular basis. It was obviously a good excuse to come out and all that, but to be part of that event, to add to it, you know, to what was a terrific evening was great. So, any sort of final thoughts with that?
No, I think just like I said, I mean, just a fantastic way to, you know, remember Boney in a format I think that, you know, obviously he loved as well, and you know, you can see even from a playing perspective, he relished in those types of environments, you know, the knockouts and those types of things, and it had that feel for me. You know, I remember when I started coming out and going to the knockouts, it was like that. There was a big crowd. Right. And I think the venue like I was saying earlier, really played into that. I was lucky, like Neil was saying at the start, I was second on, so I missed Yori, but I managed to, play my set, went upstairs, quickly dropped the pipes, came back downstairs and caught everybody else, which was great as well, because everybody there I think put on great performances. So it was nice to just stand at the back of the hall and listen to, happen to be 3 other guys that are in my band, but I don't really hear them playing that much because I'm normally playing against them. So yeah, it was nice to hear Alan and Zeph and Alistair.
Well said. I think we can safely say, Neil, that as explained earlier, Boney did play or did attend the first couple of evenings or events, and he would really have enjoyed last year. It was just maybe the best one from my perspective anyway, as to how it was all going in the Seaforth Highlander connection, etc. So, Neil.
That's it. Good. Thank you very much for coming, Gordon. You open up your set. A couple of 6/8s, is it?
Yes, right off
Casino and Meg McRae. Yeah.
Right off of Jack's World's Greatest Piper CD. So little shout out to Jack, since I listened to that CD non-stop when. Well, I still listen to it, but yeah.
Very musical introduction to your set of tunes. I gotta say, I really enjoyed your performance on the night. Thanks for coming in and talking to us, Gordon.
Thank you.
Now go out and shovel the driveway.
Yeah, Gordon. Okay, and let's take a listen and look at Gordon Cahn's selection now.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Stevens, and I'm a development officer with the BC Cancer Foundation. And I have the privilege of working with the neuro-oncology team at BC Cancer. On behalf of everyone at the foundation, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your incredibly generous support. The BC Cancer Foundation is the fundraising partner for BC Cancer, and we're the largest charitable funder of cancer research in the province. With $72.6 million raised in 2020, made possible by over 95,000 generous donors, all foundation funds stay right here in British Columbia, supporting research and enhancement to patient care at the 6 centers across the province. Brain cancer research is a critical part of this because more than 300 British Columbians are diagnosed with brain cancer each year, and it's the second most common childhood cancer. The brain is also a frequent site for the spread of other cancers, such as breast, lung, melanoma, and colon cancer. Proceeds from this event allow BC Cancer scientists to make incredible progress, and the next few years hold such promise. We will see more effective treatment strategies that will change the way we think about brain cancer, leading to better outcomes and essentially what we all want, a better quality of life for British Columbians who face brain cancer. I'm happy to be able to provide you with a few updates on some of the research that's taking place right now. So, BC Cancer has just completed 2 clinical trials in glioblastoma, exploring immunotherapy and targeted therapy. Unfortunately, Dr. Thiessen's team didn't see the results that they had wanted, but it's important to keep in mind that exploring all avenues of treatment for this disease is critical. Later this month, we're excited to start a new clinical trial looking at low-grade brain tumors. These tumors always grow up to be glioblastomas, and doctors work incredibly hard to try to delay that transformation. BC Cancer has identified a mutation in a gene that seems to start that growing up process. And by using an inhibitor as soon as the patients are identified, Dr. Thiessen hopes we can significantly delay the time the tumor takes to progress and standard treatment is needed. We're also hopeful that next year we'll be able to start a glioblastoma trial using a wearable device called Optune. This device uses electromagnetic waves to disrupt tumor growth, and hopefully when this is combined with radiation and chemotherapy, it will add further improvements to survival. The potential for these projects to help people with brain cancer is truly immense. And your support makes this possible, and it gives families a reason to hope. While government funding covers the majority of cancer care, funding for innovative new projects like the Optune device that I just talked about need to be aligned with proven outcomes. This is where philanthropy comes in. We work closely with our BC Cancer colleagues to identify areas of support where philanthropy is needed most, and this is when we put your dollars to work. In so many ways, your support plants the seed for amazing work to grow. I'd also like to take a moment and on behalf of the BC Cancer Foundation, acknowledge Andrew Borden's incredible contribution and legacy, creating this event and doing so much to raise awareness and funds for brain cancer research. Thank you to Andrew's incredible wife, Jeanette, and his children, Kate and Cameron. We'd also like to extend our greatest gratitude to the SFU Pipe Band for hosting Pipe Up for Cancer and everyone who stepped up in support of that event. We'd also like to thank the BC Pipers Association for continuing Andrew's legacy by hosting the 6th annual Boney Musical Invitational Piping Competition and Recital. And finally, a big thank you to all of you so much for your support. Thanks.
I'm Rob Mcneil, former president of the BC Pipers Association. Boney loved competing in the BCPA knockouts, with their changing tune formats in each round. He won them 7 times, and I was one of the players he bested in his inaugural win in 1985. When he created the Boney Music Invitational Piping Competition and Recital in 2016 to raise funds for brain cancer research, he largely modeled it on the knockouts. Boney strongly felt that the music of the top open pipers in the BCPA region could serve and inspire support for a broader social cause toward conquering cancer. In his final months, Boney asked BCPA to continue the event after his passing, and we gave him our word that we would continue inspiring piping to conquer cancer.
Okay, we'd like to proceed to our third player of the night and the overall winner on the night. It's Pipe Major Alan Bevan. Alan is a senior BC piper, very well-respected solo piper around the world, having won a couple of gold medals and various other things, and pipe major of SFU now, and all sorts of things. So let's bring Alan in for a wee chat. Hello, Alan.
Morning, guys.
Welcome. Great to have you.
Great to be here.
Good. So 1 year ago was the 2020 Boney Invitational. You had a good night there, and it was good to see some veteran experience on the floor. You had a very unique way of coming into the performance. What was your recollection there?
I remember playing in, I think, from the elevator. I'm not sure if I was the only guy who did that or if someone else did.
You were.
I thought Yori did as well.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, yours was the best. It was the best walk-in because you didn't hit your drones on the door.
That seemed like the right thing to do for that kind of a atmosphere and event. So
Good. What was that format like? How do you feel about 20 minutes, and how do you feel in terms of what do you feel like that you can take musical license here a little bit compared to some other more strict venues?
I think so. I mean, I probably wasn't, or definitely wasn't the most creative in terms of tune choice out of all the competitors, but I did feel, it's nice not to just have to go and play the standard stuff. And I thought the 20-minute target was just about bang on for just long enough to not make it a huge kind of recital length undertaking, but also give you a little bit of room to throw a couple of, two-part tunes in maybe that you wouldn't normally hear. And I liked the ground of the Pibroch thing was nice to have a little bit of that, but not, you're not worrying about balancing moisture and that kind of thing. So
the audience, like the planted anonymous judges being in the audience and also playing to an audience rather than to a panel of judges, how much did that affect your tune choice or the way that you presented your music?
Probably didn't really affect the tune choice that much. Obviously, I mean, I wouldn't normally kind of tailor it to a set of judges anyway, but I think it kind of removed the judges from your consciousness a little bit because you weren't so aware of them being there, so you tended to treat it more like a recital performance, or just felt like you're just kind of getting up and having a few tunes.
Would you say that it felt more like a recital because it seemed to be one of the larger and more enthusiastic BCPA crowds I can remember in a long time?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great room for one thing. Acoustically, it was really cool to play in, and just the history of the being in the Mass and in the Seaforth Armory, which I'd never actually played a note in that building. There used to be events years ago, but that was before I started piping. So
yes, I remember those.
Hey, Alan, I have a
really
question.
Cool. Yeah.
The slower you played, thank you for sending your tune list, by the way. The Boys with the Bonnets of Blue, I thought it was a lovely air. Where did you find that?
I think I found it in, there's an old book that a couple of the Campbells of Kilberry put out. It was, can't remember the Gaelic, but it was like middle music or something. It's a big book of slow airs. It was, it might have been like John Campbell or one of the other brothers who put it together.
Did you put like a millennial flavor to it then, or did you play it straight up as is? And my second part of the question is, will it be appearing in the band repertoire?
Okay, those are two really good questions. I think I'm pretty close to the way it was printed, but there's probably a couple of minor changes. It's actually a tune I brought forward around the time I became pipe major of the band, and we were looking for things to play at our 2015 Worlds concert. And we were playing it with a set of jigs, and I remember it didn't go over well. The band didn't like it very much. It just never really caught on. But I always liked it, so I kind of had it in the back of my mind. It just kind of popped in my head, I think, that week as I was preparing for the contest. So I brought it back.
As pipe major, Alan, you can just play what you like. It's okay.
Maybe I did a better salesman job with it, and I'll throw it out at a practice.
I must also quickly, I must say that it's great to hear the Macintosh's Lament as your Pembroke choice. Such a magnificent tune. How did that come to be?
Actually, my son Callum was playing it for solos, and he played in the mini gathering earlier that day and got it picked. So I was, it was in my head because I'd been working with him on it a lot. I've always loved the tune. It's really long. I think is one reason you don't hear a lot of people competing with it. But the ground's not as long as
it's a beautiful melody, though, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I thought for that kind of an audience where you're not playing in front of a dedicated kind of audience that's expecting to hear 8 hours of Pembroke, it'd be nice to play something a bit melodic, on the melodic end of the Pembroke scale. So
I guess as long as your F is perfectly in tune, you're okay, huh?
Yeah, that's kind of a deal killer if it's not.
Before we get to listening to your performance, I just want to ask you quickly, what you played with Andrew Bonar in the band, and you competed against him as a soloist. Like this event, does it evoke memories, or would you like to share any memories that you have of Andrew or your experience of playing with him all that time?
Yeah, well, I guess my relationship with Andrew goes back really far because we had the same teacher. So I remember going to lessons at Ian McDougall's house after he was going to Jack by then. But I remember seeing a photograph of Boney as a young kid with a whole bunch of trophies behind him, and Ian told me who he was and stuff. So I always kind of grew up. He was one of the first kind of famous pipers that I heard about as a young beginner, and I always kind of watched for him, and I always listened to Boney play around the games and stuff because I just as a fellow competitor and as a younger competitor, I always admired his playing. He was always interesting. Always had a really sweet bagpipe. It was big but sweet. Always very high pitch, but lots of power. And same thing with his playing. He always kind of went for it. There was always lots of power, good strong technique, but lots of drive in all his music. So yeah, I never really passed up the opportunity to listen to him even when we were competing together.
Well, it was very well said. Very well said, Alan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll catch up with you soon. Let's hope for a live event in 22. And thanks for being here. And let's take a look and listen to Alan's performance now.
Awesome. Thanks.
Hi there, it's Andrew Bertoff from Toronto. Delighted to talk about Boney. Miss him greatly. Lots of great memories. One that comes to mind is 1991 when Boney played with the 78th Fraser Highlanders when he was studying to be an air traffic controller in Cornwall. And it was great to have him in the band, and in many ways he kind of saved the band. He kept the band energized. It was fun. We were down on numbers, and he came in and really kept everyone, kind of enthusiastic that we had a guy like him around. And I remember one practice at Bill Livingston's house over a weekend, and we were kind of fooling around with practice chanters, and Boney was, had that photographic memory and just incredible kind of way of being able to calculate things. And someone challenged him, I think, to play a tune backwards, like start with the fourth part and then the third part and the second part, which is actually a really difficult thing to do, and he did it easily. And then they kind of challenged him a little bit more to see if he could play a tune with the phrases reversed, and he did that. And then the same tune, I believe it was John Morrison Acid House, if I recall right, he was challenged to play the actual notes backwards, and he did that as well. And everybody, it was a jaw-dropping kind of thing. I think I tried a little bit of it and got about 3 notes in and gave up. But that was kind of Boney for you, just an amazing intelligence, great wit, great fun, always a laugh to be around. And, here's to Andrew Bonar, one of the greats of piping. Miss him a lot.
Hey there. Quick little note to relay a bit of my remembering of Andrew Bonar, great friend to both me and our family. I remember Andrew as just a grade 4 piper, to be honest, and he was just a hard-ass competitor, even at that time. But at the same time, he was a, I don't know the right word, he's a jokester piper. He would play a laugh at any chance he got. He was in our band in the Frasers for a while, and I remember him taking one of the guys and telling him the reed had to be good enough that you could blow it in one breath. And Boney would sit there, and he'd hike the pipes up, and just and it would be all in one shot. And he could do this, and he would do it to Bill Livingston sometimes, and it was a good laugh. But I think what we most remember is that for a good year and change, Andrew was a downstairs roommate at our house in Oshawa, and he was a great friend to us and a very special guy to Alex, who was very young at that time, just maybe 2 to 3 years old. And Andrew was a big important part of his life at that time, just being around and babysitting and helping. But Andrew and I shared a lot of great tunes together and a lot of competitions. I marveled at his ability to compete. I think we all loved his ability to recall any competition question you had, whether if it was a statistic. Andrew knew what place he got in the open march in Bellingham in 1986 and who judged it. And if you had asked him somewhere else, he would tell you that too. And he usually remembers everything else that he ever heard anyone play. Remarkable. It just was a lot of fun, and the world took him just way too early. I miss him dearly, but I hope this competition keeps going in his name. That's what it should do, and just hear great playing every year to honor him and what it stands for. We'll see you again.
Okay, we'd now like to welcome in our penultimate performer tonight. It's Zephan Nicol, and Zephan hails originally from Mcneil's part of the world, Edmonton, Alberta. And
you were going to say Glasgow.
Right. You've been in Edmonton so long, you're homegrown now.
Yeah.
Right? So here we go. Let's invite in Zephan Nicol. Hey, Zephan, how you doing?
Doing very well. Good to see you guys.
Good. Thanks for
glad to see you in your gamer's chair.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
In all my comfort and glory.
Okay, before we begin, I want to tell the audience that we talked to Zephan about this before, and he's aware of it, that if you watch Extras or The Office, Ricky Gervais' sidekick is a man called Stephen Merchant, and I think our Zephyr is channeling Stephen Merchant pretty well. Check that out.
It's pretty good.
Pretty much the same guy.
Neil, I wish I was channeling Stephen Merchant's bank account. That would be nice.
So, welcome to this revival of the 2020 Boney competition. I don't know, Zephyr, was this your first or second time? Have you, like, how many times you played in it?
I played 3 times. 3 times so far.
And what was special about 2020? Was there anything special about last year?
Well, 2020, I really thought the venue was great. The audience seemed really engaged, and all in all, it was a very warm affair. There was a good intermission in the middle, gave people time to mingle and get a beverage, and afterwards, the end was fantastic. All of us performers came out and gave the audience another little show, a finale, and that went over really well.
I thought that was great, and I thought the crowd was great that evening in size and engagement, for sure.
Other competitors like Yori Chisholm and Alan Bevan were contemporaries nearly. They're closer age anyway to Andrew. You're quite distant. You're one of the younger competitors, but you still had some sort of relationship with Andrew over the years. You want to speak to that, please?
Absolutely. Andrew, actually, the very first time I met him, he was a judge of mine. But after that, when I was playing in Alberta, Caledonia, we would go on a lot of trips, and it seemed like we'd always run into Andrew. And going down to California regularly, a couple times a year, it always seemed that Andrew Bonar was there, and he would always come over and make a point of talking to us, or if he saw us walking around the games, he'd just come over and start saying hello. And, you know, he was kind of a monster figure in the piping world, you know. I grew up listening to the SFU CDs, the Carnegie Hall and Live in America, and he had solos on both of those, so I knew who he was well before I actually met him.
So the tunes that you picked to play in this thing, what were the Boney tunes that you had picked to play?
Well, Neil, you'll be familiar with one of them here. Circa 2001 Alberta Caledonia medley. The Strathan, which you guys did as a Strathspey and reel.
Yeah.
I did an arrangement of Strathan in jig time for this performance. I also played another reel that Andrew, this is a bit of a throwback, that brief stint, Terry, when Andrew went and played with the Frasers.
Yes.
He had a solo on one of their albums, the Live in Canada Megantic Outlaw album, and he ended that with the Rocking the Baby arrangement, but the tune right before that was a reel called Chainsaw, and that's the other Boney tune I ended up playing in my set. It's just full of burls and pelles, and it's a pretty awesome tune.
Well, that's a pretty obscure one. Well done.
Yeah, really creative choices there, Zephyr.
Well, I had to try and get creative, you know. There's so many great Boney tunes, and I'd seen the event over the years and come to realize that some of the classic Boney tunes, maybe the other players had already sunk their claws into it and weren't going to let go.
So you're the only competitor who chose to talk to the audience. Is that something you're comfortable doing? Like, do you do public speaking in your real life or what?
Public-ish, teaching mainly, you know.
Yeah.
I do, these days it's all on Skype or Zoom, but do a lot of solo lessons. I did a bit of teaching when I went to college at university. I taught a night class, and so speaking isn't that bad. I didn't realize I was the only one at the time. Afterwards, several people came up to me and told me, wow, you're the only one who talked. That was nice.
How about the anonymous judge thing? Like, we don't know if it was 4, 5, or 6 people, but I've judged that way at the Piping Idol over in Glasgow during Worlds Week, and it's a really cool way of judging because you don't have to write down anything. You just pick your winner, and also the competitors haven't got a clue who you are. Like, did that make any difference to how you would have played, or did you feel different?
That's a great question. I think it definitely felt more like just a recital, not having a bench with three judges sitting there with pens, you know? So I think it definitely just gave the feeling more of this is just a performance, no stress, enjoy. Even though it is a judged event, it didn't really feel like one.
Right. And Zephan, in contrast to the Boney tunes that you chose that were adventurous and whatnot, you picked the classic big McDougall's Gathering for your pibroch, right? How was that done, and how did that go for you?
I think it went pretty well. I was actually really happy with how the pipes held. I decided to start my set with the pibroch ground. I felt that McDougall's Gathering might be a really effective way to start the second half of the show. My only worry was, I hope this high G stays in tune and hope the drones hold. And then there's a bit of a panic moment after that because I had to just blindly move my tape on high G to switch into light music. Fingers crossed, and it worked out for the best, I guess.
Good.
But
Good. And in fact, you placed third on that evening, and well done for that.
Thanks, Terry.
Seemed to be a crowd favorite and a really good performance overall. Anything else sort of stand out for you on that evening, or the opportunity to play in the Boney Invitational in general?
Well, the opportunity is always fantastic. Just being there is a huge honor. One little standout moment that I had was after the performance. I had a chance just to chat with Cam, and Cam plays in the grade 3 band, so I get to see him quite a bit. And I told him a story about one of the tunes that we had just started learning in the grade 3 band. We put together a set with a polka and a couple of jigs, and in those jigs we had the curlew, and the curlew was my competition jig in grade 2 solos, and that would have been the very first time that I met Andrew Bonar. He was my judge at the annual gathering for the grade 2 jig playing the curlew, and he gave me first. So I shared that story with Cam, and I was like, that's a good jig to have in your back pocket, Cam.
And did you play the curlew in this performance?
I didn't. I probably should have. I hadn't planned the whole thing. It would have really come together nicely.
Well, if we have a 2022, you got to guarantee you're going to, play the curlew in there somewhere.
You bet. Maybe I'll arrange it into a waltz or something.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, we'll put it in there.
Absolutely. No, don't touch it. Just play it as is, Stefan.
It is a brilliant tune. Yeah.
Stefan, what a great way to tie up that story. With
thanks.
And well done. And we look forward to seeing you in person in soon and in 2022 at the Boney Invitational, we hope. And
you bet.
Thank you very much for doing this today, and we'll see you very soon.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. This is really
Take
great.
Care.
Take care, guys.
Let's have a look at and listen to Zephan Nichols' performance now.
very much, everybody. Really happy to be here. I want to say hello to all the Bonar supporters out there. Cameron's here. Kate and Jeanette are down in the Queen Mary dancing competition right now. Pretty awesome. I know that's where Andrew would want them to be. And really great to have the Jamesons here as well. Just resetting my high G a little bit here. Switching from keyboard to light music. So that was the ground of McDougall's gathering. I've got a couple of jigs here, including an arrangement of Strat Band, which is a Strasbourg reel that Andrew wrote. So I thought, hey, let's try it as a jig.
Hi, I'm Ian McDonald from Regina, Saskatchewan.
And I'm Barbara McDonald, and we're really happy to be here today to add some comments about this great event.
First of all, we want to say thank you to the BC Pipers and the organizing committee and Tartantown for putting on the Boney Invitational. It's a great event and a great way to memorialize a fantastic person. We played with Boney in the SFU Pipe Band, and apart from all the obvious stuff about what a great piper he was and how skilled he was at so many things, he was a really fun person to be in the band with. Things that I remember very fondly is, one thing was one morning of the Worlds. It was raining, it was miserable, there was a fair bit of tension at breakfast, and Boney appeared in character of a dog, eating sausages off people's plates and barking and wagging his tail, disappeared, came back, and totally pretended it wasn't him. Very much broke the ice. And then there was another year, the day before the Worlds, when checking pipes, a little group of 4 of us checking our reeds and whatever, Boney had the idea that somehow if a drone reed came out into his bag at the line, he could still blow his pipes. And he actually trialed that in one of those little rooms in the Stirling University. So that was very hilarious also.
Yeah, the other part that I really enjoyed about being with Boney and getting to know him as a friend was being able to play volleyball with him at intramurals at SFU when we were both attending. We had just a great time and a real synergy on the court, as well as playing music together.
So thanks again to everyone for putting on this event, and we'll look forward to seeing it.
Okay, we'd now like to welcome our last player of the evening, the final competitor to the Boney Invitational, and that is Alistair Lee. Alistair is one of the young pipers on the BC Pipers circuit, and he's played in the Boney Invitational, I think, every year that it's been on. So let's invite Alistair in now.
Hello, Alistair.
Hello.
So people, if they put the picture of you from the Boney Invitational in last February and then a picture of you now, there's something different going on. What could it be?
Oh, well, I'm wearing a hat, so.
Ah, there we go. No, I mean, it's so cold. You got to get the winter growth going in Vancouver just for those snowy days, right?
Yeah. It's cold, way colder than Calgary.
That hat is in full growth, you know.
So listen, that wasn't a joke. Who have been your teachers, Alistair?
Well, my dad, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Jack a few times, and then Hal Sinek a few times.
Yep.
And the occasional lesson from Alan Bevan.
Well, and so when you go over to Scotland, do you ever like hunt down Andy Wright for a paper lesson or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I've seen Andrew Wright a couple times in Scotland.
Yeah,
and
see, I knew that happened, and you'd missed him out, and we didn't want his feelings to be hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was this your first, second, third go round at the Boney? How many times have you been in it?
Yeah, so as many as it's been on, so I guess that was the fourth one, I guess, me?
Fifth, I believe. That was Boney 5, I called it.
Yeah.
And you came into this contest in pretty good form. You had just come back at that time from the winter storm. You'd won both gold medals down in Kansas, right?
That's right, yep.
And so you weren't like hanging on your laurels here. You just decided to, this performance I really enjoyed because you just kind of let it go. You weren't like crazy, but you played a very fine variety of music, in my opinion. I got to tell you personally, I really enjoyed your performance and well worth the runner-up spot. So well done.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry, ask him a question. I know you don't like to talk, you two.
Sure, I'll pull something out of Alistair here. So you've heard a lot of, as far as Boney tunes go, a lot of Strathan reels and Strathspeys and whatnot. You played a couple of different things, and I'm wondering sort of why and what, how you'd heard them or what made you choose them. Pulling Strawline is a reel that you chose, and the other one was Back of the Moon in a jig setting, which obviously Andrew, created. So any thoughts there on the ones that you chose? Do you enjoy playing them?
Yeah, well, I think last year all the competitors may or may not have played Miss Jeanette, Leanne, and the other Strathspey. So I thought this year I would try and play two that I haven't really played before. So Strawline I've never heard before, and it has all those false C's and false F's, I think. And so I thought I would give that a shot, playing some of A minor tune, and then switch it into an A major tune after that. But and then Back of the Moon, of course, when SFU played that, it's always one of my favorite tunes to go to, right, when playing jigs and stuff.
Right. So Alistair, I talked about the winning at the more formal events in the Winter Storm and stuff like that, and you've had some success in some of the more formal competitions. Did you feel that a certain freedom in the Boney competition, or did you still in the back of your mind think, well, it is a competition, so I'm going to be putting in some heavy meat in here? Like, what was your approach that way?
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable playing in competitions in the winter, Kansas City and the Boney Invitational. Just because I think that for me, the year starts in September and ends in August. Everyone else is January to December. I just think of the year as that way, and it kind of gets more intense as you go on to August. So I feel a bit more relaxed in January and February and all that for those competitions. But having the freedom to play whatever you want for 20 minutes, and with the exception of a few rules and that, yeah, I really enjoyed playing at the Boney.
I could tell. I think I got the sense you were enjoying it. You tuned up the least, not because you didn't. Your bagpipes were fine. It's just you played the most minutes, by a good 2.5 minutes over the next closest guy. You got the most music in your 20-minute allotment than the other competitors. And so we're not going to be showing the tuning time, all the guys tuning in these clips, are we? We're just showing them playing.
We might just let the segments run. Neil, I don't have a decision yet. We'll see how long it is. But just as a sometimes teacher of Alistair, I sometimes think you could take that extra 20, 30 seconds and just nail the drones a little bit, no pun intended. But that it can be at 100% instead of 95% sometimes.
Like, this is hard for you not to have the dad and the teacher thing come out. Just.
It's one of the fun things about that night, and I think your performance was that you gave the impression that you're kind of winging it nearer the end, or that you might add or delete a jig or two depending on the mood or how it was going. And you played a large string of jigs near the end there, and I just wonder, was there any impromptu-ness to it? I mean, you would have obviously thought it out, but was there any decisions you made as you were playing as to what might be going on there?
Yeah, I think I was playing it a bit by ear. It surprises me that, Neil, you say that I tuned the longest, because I felt like I tuned the shortest. I felt like I tuned the longest. So I may have played another jig or two in that big long jig set if I felt like I nailed my drones a bit faster. I don't know if I really nailed them, but yeah.
But listen, I got a question for you, which is not really related to the Boney thing, but in a way it is. You're the son of a Lee, the Lee legacy, the Uncle Jack, the Pipe Major Terry, and all that stuff, and you're kind of carving your own way. And I'm seeing from you a certain style of bagpipe playing that I haven't seen in your dad or your Uncle Jack. Is this just this musicality that you're starting to develop now, and this sense of like bringing other genres of music and other instrumentation into it? Is this something that has just come to you, or have you like seriously pursued learning how to play other instruments?
I think learning other instruments is a good thing for anybody, really. If you just play the pipes, I think you're limited. But if you can play the piano or the guitar, I think you can feel the chords you're in, the keys you play in, and yeah, I think your repertoire just expands a lot when you know a couple more instruments. Yeah,
it's I've noticed that, like your Tartan Town things, the little Christmas things that you did on Facebook, you've been doing quite a lot. You got thousands of hits for that. Was it Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or something? I can't remember what you did.
Well, I think I got the hits because I played the Clumsy Lover in the end.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Rudolph and up on the housetop and.
So in the end, this Bonar competition, is this something? Would you change any part of it, or do you like it just as it is?
I like it just as it is. I like the venue before, and I like the venue now even better. I like how you walk in and the audiences are looking at you like a theater. I like how there's 2 bars. Normally there's 1 bar, there's 2 on each side. Yeah, and I like how there's an elevator so you can tune upstairs, and we were all pretty good on letting everyone play in the tuning room and come down the elevator and right there. And I think Yori played in the elevator and out in.
I think he did, and Alan Bevan walked in playing as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we when we played the parade at the end, I think we started playing while the elevator was still going down down the shaft, and then the doors opened and we marched out.
Great stuff. Well, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm done.
Yeah. I think that's about it. Good stuff, Alistair. Well done for the evening, and thanks for doing this and for helping us with the editing behind the scenes. He's doing the bulk of the work here, and appreciate that. And to everyone out there, this will be the final performance, and thanks for watching this show, and we look forward to an in-person event, a great event in 2022. All the best, everyone. Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye for now.
Bye.